All right. We'll take attendance real quick. Mayor Kaczynski,
Here.
Counselor Ackman, Counselor Capola, Counselor Payanessa.
Here.
Counselor Rosso.
Here.
Right, there's a quorum.
Okay, we call the meeting to order. We should rise for the pledge and follow our own agenda here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There's those two cards I thought I lost. Look at that in my pocket. That's a good place for them.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a great. Okay. Audience of citizens. No, don't all come at once.
Yeah.
Don't all charge the podium. All right, we'll move on. Approval of our minutes of April 22nd. Take a motion on those.
So moved.
Second. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, so moved. Okay. All right, on to our number 5 here, tax abatement. What do we have? Where are we at, Jeff? What do we
Well, at the last meeting a couple of weeks ago, you had asked for samples of other town 8-215 ordinances, which I provided.
Yeah.
And you'd also asked for a draft ordinance, which I provided.
Right.
And we also received Ryan had sent over to Vesca the draft with the understanding that the committee and the council obviously hadn't seen or talked about it yet, so it was subject to change. But they provided a couple of edits, nothing all that earth shattering or objectionable. So at this point, you should talk about the draft and whether you think you're ready to call for a public hearing or any changes you want.
I looked at those others briefly. What was there anything in the other? I looked through them. I didn't. Was there any? I don't remember any. I looked through them when you sent them. It was a week ago now or 2 weeks. But was there anything significant in those other towns? I didn't see anything that looked really.
Well, there's not a lot of differences
Right. I didn't
from
think so.
town to town because you've got a statutory criteria that
Yeah.
has to be met in order to
Right.
qualify for the agreement.
Yeah.
It just, some towns, a couple of towns do it project specific, which I'm not a big fan of.
Oh yeah, no.
Other towns do it so that it's limited to nonprofits, which, doesn't really make any sense in a small town to limit it to a nonprofit.
Right.
But other than that, there's not big differences from town to town in the towns that have adopted the ordinance.
All right. Well, but who are we missing? We're missing Sandy. I know Sandy told me she couldn't make it. And who's that? Kate and Mark? Is Kate and Mark on here?
Just Kate.
Just Kate. Oh, okay. We have 2 people missing. I wish, Well,
I'm happy with moving it forward to the council because.
yeah, we gotta go to a public hearing anyway and all
You
that.
gotta call a public hearing.
Yeah, so I would agree. I mean, I read it over. I read the others you sent, Jeff, and I didn't see anything. And we've got a couple little edits here, which,
If the developer can live with it, that's where we gotta go.
yeah,
I would, Jeff, it
What
would be the one that Vesta looked at and proposed with that's what would move forward, those modifications.
that's what I was gonna add.
Yeah,
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 right, because there was nothing here. I was looking at these, right?
right.
Yeah, there was nothing there. It's. Yeah. Yeah, that would be the one. Yeah, all right.
Good with it, Peter?
We good, Peter? You good too?
Yeah.
All right, so we gotta make a motion to, what do we gotta send it to
Send to
now?
the town council with a request to notice a public hearing.
So moved.
All right, second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, so moved. All right, we're good on that part. You good? We're good?
Yeah.
Oh, lucky you. Okay, good. All right. Yeah, that's it. All right, yeah, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
All right, the next item that we wanted to talk about was on the noise ordinance.
Yes.
And so in that second packet or
Yep.
sheet that I gave you was SH Acoustics recommendation.
Yes,
In addition to the town's existing noise policy or noise ordinance,
right.
I did in your packet, you have a copy of our current noise ordinance. But what Tessa had, and Steve had said from SH Acoustics was that, if you remember with Bright Feed's tonal issues was a real factor in what was creating the disturbance for those residents.
Yes,
And so the proposal here that they are suggesting actually comes from New York City's sound ordinance
Yeah.
that they have. And so,
not noisy there at all. Sitting.
and so I did ask, I had a couple of questions on what Tessa was proposing. I wanted to confirm with her that the recommendations were straight from, this is exactly what New York City's ordinance says.
Okay.
And I asked her if anything needed to be modified
Yeah.
to fit for Berlin.
Yeah, that's what that's-
Yeah, that was my first question.
yes, right.
She said no. She said,
Okay,
the information and noise levels can be applied directly to your current ordinance. Since it is quoted from the New York City ordinance,
Yeah.
we'll defer to Jeff for any comments on language. So I defer to Jeff on that, but.
yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely Jeff, and I mean, you know, taking it right out of New York City makes me a little nervous, but a little bit different, what do you?
To take action tonight, we.
No, yeah, what do you think, Jeff?
Well, I think it's important to have an understanding of what these band frequencies represent.
Yes.
In terms of noise levels.
Right,
And I also think, it's important to understand, in other words, I know you said tongue in cheek that New York's not a noisy place.
Yeah.
But it obviously is a very noisy.
yeah, of
place.
course,
And so I don't know whether these
yeah, that's what I'm,
levels for residential are gonna work in a non
Mm.
urban setting, I don't.
I know, that's what I'm wondering.
It
too.
may be too high, I don't know. And also the measurement and enforcement,
Right,
is our PD, is our staff capable of doing the testing necessary to determine whether or not these sound pressure levels are in compliance? And,
yeah,
I don't know the answer to that either.
mm,
We're going beyond the state statute at this point.
Yeah, this is not from the state statute.
yeah, I just, yeah, I mean, I feel the same, I'm a little concerned, you know, a little bit different in New York, obviously, of course, and, would it fit here? I don't know how we discern that. Would S&H be able to help us with that, maybe?
We could invite SH Acoustics.
Yeah, maybe
to
we should,
another
yeah,
Ordinance review committee just to.
let's do that,
discuss
right? What do you think, Peter?
I feel better.
Yeah, I don't wanna, I wanna make sure we get it right if
I
we're
mean, I
gonna
had
do
the
it.
Exact same question. That's why I asked.
Yeah.
That's why I asked it. And so,
You said okay,
yeah,
but,
but still, I think just for our sake.
Yeah.
Comfortable with it, we would want
Yeah.
to hear their opinions and.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the experts.
Imagine decibels here being
Right.
the same applied by the New York ones. I mean,
That's what I'm wondering about too.
So-
Yeah, I
so
agree
it's-
with it.
It's not the so if you look, so.
It's
right now,
the-
Tone,
It's the
It's the tone,
which is
right?
what they mean by the sound pressure level, right? Octave band
And
frequency.
so if you look on the chart, they list the different frequencies now.
Yeah.
Different frequencies
That's true.
can bother or affect people differently as well as the decibel measures. So
Right.
Our current ordinance is written primarily for DBA,
Yes,
I believe.
yes, that's
So
right.
This is talking about DBs right
Yeah.
here. And so I believe nighttime hours in our existing ordinance is a maximum of 80 decibels at nighttime. And
Yeah.
so if you look on here, the maximum on this is 74 decibels at the 31.5 frequency octave.
Yeah,
And so,
Yeah.
so that was my question. Another question I had for Tessa was, does this fit into the existing ordinance without conflicting with our existing ordinance? And again, 74 being the closest to 80 and being under, I guess it does. But again, I think it would be helpful, as you guys pointed out, to get some clarification, invite them to talk about it.
Yeah, I think we should before we don't wanna get it put in place and it's not quite what we hoped for.
We could, if,
What do you wanna do?
I think we could invite them to another meeting. I don't know, we could probably meet at 6:45. I don't think
Yeah.
we would need
Right.
a full hour with.
No, 6:30, let's,
6:30, sure.
yeah, say 6:30,
Yeah,
just.
sure.
I might take-
I think it would be helpful for the council, for the ordinance committee and the council to know for each of these levels,
Yeah,
what's an example of what that
Yeah.
represents?
that's,
Like, what's a beeping horn?
right, we don't know.
What's a siren,
Yeah, no, I agree.
you know?
We need to kind of put it in real terms, what it, yeah, what,
Compare something to a jet engine or.
yeah, right. Yeah, right, so let's do that.
Because it may well be that, you know, you want to refine this a little bit
Yeah, that's,
based on the type of noise that we have here in Berlin.
yeah,
If you're talking about commercial, industrial, for the most part, I think that's what you're worried about.
I think the drains might violate some of this.
well, it's possible, you're right. Yeah, they might. I mean, yeah,
'Cause the Amtrak's pretty loud when it goes through,
it is.
Well, that horn takes you off your couch.
It could,
but even the track noise, of
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so
They're exempt.
course,
I'm sure they are,
sure.
Any government agency.
Yeah,
can do what they want.
First rule of any law, exempt the government.
Yeah.
federal government.
All right, so yeah, that would be helpful to, I think, have the examples too, right, of what, you know, because I don't know what decibels or what, we know a little bit about it, but
I'm afraid we're gonna be bumping heads with that trash plant at Murphy Road.
yeah,
And
well,
we need them. The whole area needs them at the moment.
yes. Yeah, I don't, yeah, I mean, we need to make sure that's, I don't know if that's,
Because the way the gentleman described, he tracked down the low decibel noise.
Yeah.
Christian Lane, and it sounded like that's where he was heading.
Well, he was, but then we did have SH Acoustics go out and do nighttime testing.
I didn't hear
They
anything,
didn't
right?
Get anything. They did that, so.
That might be put to rest, right?
And then I believe Ryan Malloy stated at the meeting that we had, right, that it could potentially have been the clear cutting.
Yeah, the
Nine.
logging here.
Yeah, yeah, so it could have been, and maybe it wasn't CWPM.
They're doing that so late at night.
When you get to me, my age, you just turn off your hearing aid. It's not a problem.
Why, I wonder why the state would be out there that late doing that, because.
There's traffic.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I know a couple other residents that live near Route 9 one night, you know, it's 10:30 at night, they hear like chainsaws, they're like, who the heck is out there with a chainsaw at 10:30?
Drive home from these meetings.
Are they doing it?
One lane on 15 as they're trimming.
They're trimming, yeah, I mean, I guess I get the traffic, but you know, you're hearing a chainsaw at night at 10:30, 11 o'clock, it's a little unnerving. Cause there was woods, you know, there's some woods on, there's people on Beckley Road, so they're like, what, is somebody like in the woods with a chainsaw at 10:30 at night? I mean, not a little hazardous perhaps, you know, but so, yeah, so it was good, that's what that was that night. It wasn't anything from Bright Feeds, but. All right, so we'll just,
I can have, if you're comfortable with the
Yeah.
6:30 meeting on May 20th, I can. See
Yeah.
if Tessa or Steve are available. to
Yeah.
Speak with us.
yeah, I think that would work, huh? Yeah, is that good, Peter?
Yep.
Charlie, good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's do that.
6:30 on the 20th.
Yeah, do that 6:30. And what'd I do with the agenda? That's the last, yeah, we're good, so. Okay, so that's what we'll do and have them here. And I guess we'll motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye, opposed, right, so moved.
So we'll end at 6:20.
Yes, here endeth that
Stop recording now.
meeting. Be back at 7.